Let's speak now to Adam Coleman, columnist at the New York Post. Adam, I need to take a deep breath. I was glued last night to everything going on. Then Kanye West waded in. I'm like, this is like the most amazing thing I've ever seen exploding online. What do you make of the lot of it?
They both have points. I understand why Elon might be upset. Doge uncovered a lot. I'm actually very appreciative of Doge. They exposed a lot of inefficiencies when it comes to the federal government. Things that we suspected are actually much worse. Thanks to Doge, we found this out. But I do think that Elon is not understanding that this is actually politics. See, Trump is the head of the executive branch. He can allow him to come in and have free reign and investigate all these things all he wants. But when it comes to a bill or discretionary spending, that's not all him. That's not all Trump. So there are other hands at play. Trump isn't the one who crafted the bill. Now, because of Trump and like most politicians, they're more pragmatic. As long as they get enough of what they want in the bill, then they're usually fine with it. But Elon is more of a purist. Elon wants what he wants, and I understand why he wants these things, but he has to be somewhat pragmatic about what's going on. There are attempts to have cuts. There are things that are beneficial within the bill. Just like most bills, it's not all good. And that's just what it is. There's a lot of outside influence.
A lot of people watching it would have been like, right, they've got a difference of opinion politically. In terms of Elon Musk and his business, things in that bill might have cost his business quite a lot of money. You can understand why he was rattled by it. But, what people would say is don't ever wash your dirty laundry in public. And this was more than just washing dirty laundry. It got so personal. It escalated to a level that I couldn't quite believe some of the stuff I was reading. Is there no one around either of them to snatch their phones off them and say, listen, just give it a rest, stop posting?
Well, especially on Elon's part, to be honest, when you leave out the accusation of, and by the way, it's already known that Trump has had associations with Epstein for many years, but there were things that people knew. Epstein was around everybody. There's photos of people back in the 90s hanging out with Epstein because Epstein was a socialite. He was around everyone. So of course, there's pictures of Trump with Epstein, and Trump hung out with him for a period of time. But Trump has also banned him from Mar-a-Lago, right? There's a certain point where people found out the dirt and they left him alone. So when you leave it out there with no explanation, no details other than, quote, the truth will come out, then I have questions. If you believe that he has further involvement than what we know of, then why were you cool with your child hanging out with this guy who maybe had deeper associations, maybe has more feelings towards children like Epstein did? So you were cool with that then? Or are you just leaving this insinuation out there for people to pick apart? So I think this is much of Elon burning the bridge. Now, is it completely burned? I don't know. But I understand that Elon is an emotional person. At first he was saying he was going to discontinue one of the SpaceX programs, and now he's saying, all right, well, I'll hold off on discontinuing it. I think this is, for once, Elon is actually more emotional than Trump is.
Some might say, actually, that he's more mad as a box of frogs than Donald Trump, which sometimes feels like it takes some doing. Do you think there's any way that this can be resolved? Because both of them are pretty disinhibited characters, let's say. But certainly Donald Trump seems to me to have quite a forgiving nature to him. People say he doesn't, but when he's like, I hate that Zelensky, and then he's like, yeah, we had a really good talk. And then it's like J.D. Vance is slagging him off and saying, JD, he's the future. He's, Donald Trump seems to sort of blow hot and cold, and even if people have committed serious offences against him, he sort of will go from calling someone a really horrible nickname to then being their best friend, or vice versa. Can you see any sort of routes to reconciliation?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Remember, it was little Marco Rubio, and now he's working with him. So, Trump doesn't hold as much as a grudge as people think he does. For some people, he definitely does. Is there a possibility? I think that this is more on Elon's side as far as reconciling than it is on Trump's side. Trump has stated, if I'm taking Trump's word for it, he has stated he was removing many of these things, including the EV mandate, and Elon knew about this for quite some time. So why is he acting emotional about it now? So I think much of this was pushed on by Elon, Elon's criticism of the bill, which is fine. Trump is up to and open to criticisms when it comes to the bills, but it went further. And so finally Trump responded the way that he did. But I also think that Trump, like you said, he does have a little bit of a forgiving nature, especially if he's being pragmatic and he sees that there's a bigger goal in mind. Trump 2.0 is a little bit different than Trump 1.0. Is it possible? I think it's more from Elon's side than Trump.
Do you think, just one last question, do you think Elon's all right? Because, you know, he's had that black eye of late. There's been some sort of press conferences where, to put it mildly, he looks a little bit spaced out. He does seem to have these flashes of obsessions that then he gets bored of very quickly. Yes, he's an eccentric. Many geniuses are an eccentric. But is there something else going on here that actually he might need a sort of arm of reassurance put around him and go, look, mate, stop knocking up random women, stop going so crazy online, you know, get a better night's sleep. You know, I don't know, is there a sort of a sense of someone unraveling a bit here?
I don't know about unraveling. Maybe we're just seeing more of the unraveling in public. This is a very public situation that's at hand. So maybe we're seeing more of it. But for all I know, this is how he always is. We just don't get to see certain glimpses of it. But I don't know. There are people who've made insinuations of it being something about substances and stuff like that. I don't want to dive into that because I have no proof of it. But is he unraveling? I don't know. I think he's always been a bit of this. He's always been a bit of emotional, overly emotional, run into the internet to spill his dirt. But this is just something really impactful because it involves the most powerful man in the world.
Indeed, or two of the most powerful men in the world. That's what made it so absolutely extraordinary. Adam Coleman, thank you ever so much. Always love catching up with you, and thank you for raising yourself from your slumber at such an early hour for me. It's really appreciated.